Hi, this is Dave O'Toole again, and today I'm going to be using golden extra coarse pumice gel with acrylic paint and glass microspheres to create another floral scene, this time horizontal instead of vertical, which will be nice because it fits the aspect ratio of the camera better so that when I zoom in, the painting's going to fill most of the screen. So I'm also going to be working on a light, on a medium dark colored background, about 50% gray with a warm gray tone to it. And this will come out with a very different result than if you start with white like I've been doing. I'm going to scoop out some white acrylic, in other words, this is white acrylic paint plus some additional acrylic binder plus two different kinds of microspheres. Okay, and I'm actually going to get out a pretty liberal amount of this stuff because I want to cover the entire canvas. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is cover it and then blend it with the gray. Or no, let me see. Let me just see what happens. I think what I'm going to do is spread the white on this nice, fresh, brand new canvas. I'm going to lay down a smooth, thick layer of this white, and then I'm going to tint it. I'm going to go back over it and tint everything with gray. And that's going to give the gray background in Alla Prima is going to give a very different feel from starting with a white Alla Prima background. Okay. It's the bottom strip. I'm going to keep going. We may want to time-lapse this portion just a bit and zip, 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 and it'll all be gray. I am going to describe what colors I use with the gray though, because I'm going to have to tint this just right. Remember, it's going to be over the whole picture. So this is using Sphericell glass microspheres. These are a hollow glass sphere, and it gives it the consistency of like marshmallow fluff. Very similar. A little heavier, you know, forms a little bit more of a peak than a marshmallow fluff will. Okay, we are almost done getting the first layer of microspheres on there, and then we're going to begin to tone and tint this background. Now if I wanted it to come out really exactly even, I would have mixed the color in first. Instead what I'm going to do is put the white on there and then tone the background so that it's a little bit variegated. I don't want it to be too consistent. This is making me wish I had a big knife that was as angled, that was a little more angled than this one. Alright. Okay, I'll smooth that out some more and just make sure that we have complete coverage, which is not as easy to verify when you're painting white on white. Okay. So now that we've got an even coverage of white, I'm actually going to begin putting some color on there. Tinting the entire surface gray. And I'm going to make this gray with a little bit of Mars Black. A little bit of yellow ochre. And a very small amount of ultramarine blue. Just to dull down the golden kind of color a bit. And then I'm going to take some additional white with microspheres to use as a base. Okay, now I've got a little bit of the black, a little bit of the yellow ochre, tiny touch of the ultramarine blue, a little more yellow ochre to warm it up. Okay, now that I've put that on here, I'm going to spread it. I'm just going to go with a back and forth motion pretty slowly because I don't want to throw the paint around. And I'm going to carry this color over the rest of the canvas so that what we have is a largely uniform but still somewhat pleasingly striated gray. And I'm going to have to go silence my phone here, so hold on just a moment. All right. I'm going to come back here and wet this just a touch. Okay, and if this gray isn't dark enough, and it isn't, I'm going to just go ahead and add some more. Which I'll do in a minute, but I want to mix this. Before I decide that it's not dark enough, I want to mix this a little more thoroughly. It's also not warm enough, so I want more yellow ochre in the next bit of pigment that I'm adding on here. Here we go. So some of the transparent orange iron oxide helped that. Now we're getting a little bit more of a golden glow here. Okay, this might look a little streaky right now, but I'm going to blend this all out. Now I'm blending the stripes across each other because I want the overall tone to be largely uniform. And then I'm going to go back across them. Okay, need to add a little bit of water, I think, here. Okay, gonna do a little blending. Okay, so this isn't quite dark enough. I'm going to just keep on going. So I'm now going to add more yellow ochre. A little more black. And a little bit more of the transparent orange iron oxide. And instead of mixing them into white, I am going to go straight from the tap here. Ready? And I could just... Now I may not blend it to exactly uniform. I may leave some of this dark smooth it out. See, the glass microspheres act like millions of tiny ball bearings. So not only do they slow the drying time, but they lubricate the paint. And so I've found it very, very, very liberating in terms of I have more working time. I don't have to deal with the notoriously fast drying nature of acrylics quite so much. They still dry fast, you still gotta move, you still gotta plan your painting. You can't just, you gotta watch the clock to a certain extent. Okay. And I think this is a very nice background to start our floral on. And now this gray, it may look a little boring right now, but you have to think. We are going to pop some quite vibrant colors over top of this gray. And what that's going to do is, especially if there's some cool colors here and there, it's going to bring out the warmth. It's going to bring out the warmth in this gray, because there's not only black, but also a significant amount of earth tones in this coating. Okay. All right. Okay, so we have got a gray background. I'm now going to take begin to lay in some cool colors with notes of light yellow, and I'm going to do this with extra coarse pumice gel. And this is a bit thick, so what I'm going to do is thin it and turn it white. Okay, and I'm going to blend this pumice. Let me see if I can get this so where the camera can see it. I'm going to blend this pumice gel with the acrylic binder and with white and extra binder, just so that it's all saturated. All right, into my gray. I'm going to begin to build up some masses with pumice. We're going to make a very textural painting today. So now I'm blending this pumice gel into the surface. I like this. All right, I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to blend this pumice into the surface, and this is quite coarse. But it's giving me exactly the appearance I want. So I'm going to continue spreading all this. You know, and you may want to do some time lapse, and then, oh yeah, this is great. Yep. All right. A little more pumice, a little more white. As you can see, this is pretty thick stuff. But what's on the canvas is already real thick, and this stuff just blends right in. So I like the pumice. It dries to like a concrete-like finish. This is my first trying the extra coarse because my supplier was out of my Post Road Art Center was out of the regular course, but they had extra course, and I said I'll try the extra course, and this has worked out beautifully. I'm going to zoom in a few moments, and you'll be able to see how nicely this product has spread. So our canvas is quite heavy with materials right now, with aggregates. Of course, a lot of the weight is water, and that is going to lighten as it dries, as the water evaporates. So. All right, just a touch more. Don't want to leave any go to waste here. Whoa, almost pulled the thing right off the wall. That's one reason that I spritz it with water, because otherwise it will tend to get stickier as the surface starts to dry. And then the knife can stick and pull the thing right off the wall. So now, I spent a lot of time preparing this background. It's time to lay in. So I wanted red and gold for the flowers, but I also want some little purple blossoms. So I'm going to mix up some Pyrrole red. And now I'm going to add some pour-over microspheres made from recycled glass. And this is not with white in it, this is with, these are colorless and will take on whatever color the paint. Well, they're a little bit off gray, they're not strictly colorless. So I'm going to mix this Pyrrole red in with these microspheres. Okay, and I'm going to start putting on our first flowers of the day. So I'm going to take this red, see, one really nice thing about gray is that when you put red on top of it, it will not look pink. Okay, so this is a crucial stage because the main areas of interest are going to be outlined here. Alright, so few little red ones. And now let's go with some gold. Let's go with some yellow ochre. And I'm going to take a smaller knife and add some little yellow accents, taking some of the red to make it a little more golden yellow. A little bit of blending. All right. Okay, I'm going to take a small amount of phthalo blue and some of that red and make a shade of red with the bluish purple for these flowers, so that they are not entirely red, so that they have little buds going on. Okay, then I'm going to add a little more phthalo blue and create some lighter ones that are a little more distant. Alright, so we have a vertical line here with nothing crossing it. Right here, there's nothing there. So I'm going to take some blue . All right. So we don't have as much contrast as we might because there's no true white and there's no true black. Now I'm going to start adding some white and black. And then the picture's going to start to come into focus, I think. Okay. So of course, I never really use plain black. I'm going to make it a dark bluish black. So I'm going to take black plus some of this cobalt blue hue Whoopsie. And then in some spots, transparent orange iron oxide to lighten it up. And a little bit of phthalo blue to deepen it. If I can just find the phthalo blue. Yep, that's right. Okay. And I'm going to take a medium knife. And I'm going to float this black paint over top. So I'd like to fill it in and keep blocking in. You know, and if I mess up any of the flowers and stuff like that, I can just go right over with the thicker paint. So I'm able to work pretty freely here. Now I think I've gotten some dark enough areas. And what I want to do is make sure that I leave some light. The red contrast against the gray should be pretty good. And then here's some more phthalo blue. Oh, look at that. I love the granular kind of way that everything mixes when you have. So now I'm going to go through this as if, there we go. Yeah, this is really, all right. Now it's time for white and some light white blues. Okay, I'm going to spoon out some microspheres with white mixed into them already. I'm just going to cover the knife with the back nice and thick. So now we're going to blend the darks that I just added. Using white, I'm going to blend in these areas and even out the background, not taking away all the darks, but some of them. Okay, this is a heavy, heavy impasto here. Okay, so now we notice that the white areas, none of them really touch the edge of the canvas. So I'm going to bring up this one here to touch the edge. And I'd like another one to touch the edge over here. So, because you don't want any color, at least in a floral like this, the way I do them, you don't want any color to look boxed in. You don't want any color to look contained, so there's got to be some near the edge. But anyway, the main area of interest is this big flower. And then secondary area of interest. Okay, I'm going to do a little more blending. I'm going to get right in there. And now it looks like we need a little more white. Okay, now I may need to restore some dark areas, in which case I'm going to mix up some phthalo blue and some black. Oh, I've got plenty left here. So let's see, some black here. And some black there. Black area that touches the edge. All right, so let's have a look at this here. All right. I'm going to do a nice little... All right, so let me take some of this red and let me just top off the areas that got a little bit disturbed when I was laying down the other colors, so that the top edge of this flower is quite nice and red and vibrant and round. Now I'm going to take this small knife and work on some blending. And this is just to get the background to be a little smoother. Any place that the background is a little too interesting or too busy, okay, just blend things together. Block one light, let's see what's left here. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is very, very blue. Phthalo being a very intense blue dye. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in so that it contrasts with the other areas and begins to fill in some of the space. So Okay. I like where this is going. All right. Need some more darks. So I'm going to take that exact recipe, phthalo blue, black, but I'm going to add a small amount of not yellow ochre, but transparent orange iron oxide. And that's going to give us a deep blue brown. So that's going to contrast with some areas. And I'm going to take some microspheres. Can't open that one. Okay, give the painting a quick spritz. And once I'm done adding these darks, I'm going to then add some lights over top and maybe do a little bit of scratching into the painting to integrate things. I'm also going to add a small amount of ultramarine blue to cut down the intensity of this dark blue. Make it a little less transparent. All right. All right, now I'm starting to like what I see. I'm going to take some white, and rather than leaving this white pure, I'm going to mix in a little something, and we're going to have to see what that is. And I think it's going to be a little bit of azeo yellow and a little bit of yellow ochre. Maybe even a little bit of diarrhea yellow. Diarrhea yellow is a warm yellow that's often used as a substitute for cadmium yellow. All right. So I've got my two yellows, I've got my white that I'm mixing that into. So this is creating a subtly green tinge in some areas. But it also adds light, it adds whiteness. Now I don't want this everywhere, but I would like for there to be some regions of it. Just a few. All right. And then we're going to go on top of these white areas later. Okay, there's a lot of glare, but I think we're getting somewhere. Okay. Tone down this area a little. All right. I really like where this is going. Some blending to do. Wait. I'm gonna get out some more white microspheres. Check the battery time. We still got a long way to go here, so I want to make sure we have enough battery. We are now going to put, this is going to be the magic touch here. I'm going to tint this purple. I'm going to put on some white, and then I'm going to tint it with some of this brilliant purple. And in fact, I'm going to lay down a little bit of brilliant purple before I lay down any plain white. Okay, so I'm now going to sculpt that purple over top of and blend it into some areas, leaving others untouched so that we only have certain areas of this purple. Okay, and I can take a little bit of blue and a little bit of white and then touch up those areas with this blue. Okay, so we can just keep right on adding color. Lighten up this part, darken that part. Okay, so what you're going to see pretty soon is this starting to come together. And we added a lot of darks, we added a lot of dark parts to the background, and then we're covering up some, but the result is going to be a painting with more depth, gets rid of some of this glare. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Now, the purple. Okay. Especially in these areas where there's some yellow that I don't want to completely keep, that I want to gold up that yellow a little bit. So now that we've got some warm tones in here, you know, now I'm going to take some ultramarine blue and white and make a little bit darker raw sienna for the background. So that we can begin to unify the background with the entire picture. Over here, changing to transparent orange iron oxide to get a little bit deeper tone. And I'm going to touch a few areas where a bright yellow might be seen. And so this will give us some little spots of light. That's maybe a little too big. Just a few spots of that yellowish green. Okay, and then don't leave this dark area too dark. Let some color be in there. And again, I don't want to overdo it. Just you don't want to have any part of the painting be so innocent of one color that it seems like it's all on one side. All right. Okay, so so we need some accents of white. We need some tiny white bits so that the flowers pop. Okay, gonna take a nice blob of microspheres right out of there. Some white areas to get the high contrast, and we're only going to do it. We're going to do it more heavily in the area of the flowers, the blossoms that we want people to look at, because the higher contrast is going to draw the eye. And then I'm going to place some white bits at other areas. And I think we're getting close to the end here. Some cobalt blue, some of this, some of that. Okay, so I think we need some white up in the upper right area, just to give us the illusion that there is some light in this scene. So the answer is, the question is this painting done? Do we need anything that has to pop out of the blossoms? And I would say a little secret weapon here is a little touch of yellow, orange, AZO, and a little touch of cadmium yellow. Or cadmium orange, I'm sorry. Beautiful color, highly toxic. Don't need it. And I don't actually have any yellow, orange, AZO, so I'm just going to get the cadmium yellow. Just the tiniest little touches of cadmium yellow with a tiny bit of cobalt blue to denature it. Okay, so I'm going to touch these little bits of cadmium orange into the white of the flower at several key points. I need to take a little bit of that one away, a little bit of this one. Okay, just about done. So that's how you paint with pumice and glass microspheres. We've gone from blank canvas here to a floral scene. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope everyone is staying safe and staying indoors at home. Thank you.